essentially inflation is raging, and there's very little the central bank can do, the Bank of England. And like I said 5 years ago, I would not be surprised, and I will not be surprised when it happens. So I think it'll be a lot worse this time than in 1976. Yeah, that's right. 5 years ago on Twitter, I predicted that the United Kingdom would need another IMF bailout. Boy, was I right. Stacy.
Right. In fact, we're going to look at a tweet. It was from somebody else who was reporting on what you had said on a podcast, and you predicted, quote, this is a tweet from 2017, and it was Max Keiser, in 5 years, the UK economy will need an IMF bailout. The reason why we bring it up 5 years later is because not only is it 5 years later, but Goldman Sachs is predicting UK inflation could top 22% next year. Now, the last time the UK required a bailout from the IMF was in 1976. So we have another oil crisis. Bond yields obviously aren't anywhere near back then because, of course, central banks at that time were not able to, because we were so recently off gold, were not able to openly do something like quantitative easing. The circumstances look very similar to the history of the last time the IMF came to the rescue of the UK. The White House says Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene had $183,504 in PPP loans forgiven. Next, Congressman Vern Buchanan had over $2.3 million in PPP loans forgiven because he was complaining. And then sample 3, Congressman Mike Kelly had $983,237 in PP loans forgiven. So, I mean, this seems pretty spooky, right?
The White House and the feds are entrapping these representatives with these fraudulent loans as a way to coerce them and to censor them. So they're no longer ability to represent the constituents who voted for them have been neutered. So there is no representative democracy in the United States. You have the feds that are corrupt and trading on inside information, as we now know, with like Nancy Pelosi and others, who are out there essentially entrapping congressmen and senators with these fake and fraudulent PPP loans, and then using that to silence them when they attempt to stop and voice opposition to programs from the federal government that are enriching the kleptocracy in America. Let's be clear, America has become a kleptocracy. It's become an oligarchy. So, for example, when the fall of the Soviet Union happened, there was a rise of oligarchs. Here in America, with the life expectancy down, infant mortality up, paper money printing going berserk, you have a rise of an oligarchy in America, and it's becoming pernicious, ugly, and causing incredible dislocation and anxiety.
So the government offered you free money, take this loan, using the words loan, because it got around basically the Constitution to issue it as a loan, but it's forgivable. We'll just forgive it.
It's a bribe. In other words, they can't print money without congressional oversight. So they lend the money as a loan, which is you don't have to pay it back, not a forgivable loan. So that essentially it is, though, you do the accounting and you do the math, this is bribe.
Clearly, Max, what I'm saying is the White House tweeting at 3 individuals that I just highlighted. There were more that they tweeted at Max. They had told them when they signed the document that it was forgivable. Well, what you owed the White House, in fact, was allegiance, was silence, was obedience to what they said. Don't disagree with anything they said. That's what you're paid. That's what the cost was. That's the payback. That's
a bribe.
Well, it's certainly not the Republic and the human rights and the free speech and all of the stuff that they say they abide by. But it's also the way of the shitcoiner, right? This is what shitcoiners are able to do. Like, it costs the White House nothing, right? Because they could just evaporate these fake debts wherever. They evaporated student debts. They issue PPP loans. These shitcoiners can give out this money, dole it out for free, and say, but what they expect is this sort of silence about the flaw of their protocol.
Right. The congressmen and senators in America have become paid influencers by
Yes.
the ultimate shitcoin, the U.S. dollar.
Yes.
So the U.S. dollar is the printing press, just like any of these shitcoins can print billions of tokens, and they give them to the influencers who go on the TV to push their propaganda. And if they balk, they say, oh, you took that money and now we're going to expose you. And they manipulate the situation accordingly. So the part of the branch, the judiciary, is failed. It's gone. It's fallen. The executive branch has also now fallen because the top executive, the president, is clearly without mental capacities to do that job. So you have the judiciary and the executive are now dead. Over there at the Supreme Court, they recently had a leak where one Supreme Court justice was leaking on another Supreme Court justice. So I would posit that also indicates that that third branch of government is now also dead. The fourth branch, as Thomas Jefferson called it, of the press, the free press, that's also been deadened. They're unable to speak freely. Free speech is dead. So where's the life in this republic, Ben Franklin, that you warned us about? Where's the life? Where's the heartbeat? What's actually working? All three branches of government have failed, and the journalistic branches of the press is also dead.
It reminded me of a situation, and I'm not going to name any particular names because influencers have become highly litigious as well because they're fragile, right? Because it is all smoke and mirrors. So you need the myth and the illusion to sustain, and you can't have anybody speaking the truth because that is the fabric of that shitcoin environment and ecosystem in which the dollar reigns, but there's 22,000 shitcoins below it. So there was an influencer who was pushing onto his stupid audience a certain token, which then collapsed, and he went to sue the token creator. And then he was forced out of the lawsuit because he had been paid by that company to promote the shitcoin. So that is like what you're saying. This is exactly what happened with these influencers, these Congress people who accepted these PPP loans and then went on to the news and trashed the very token creator who issued them free tokens and then said, hey, we're going to expose you as being an influencer under our command. So yeah, that's what we're witnessing here.
It's a clown car.
It's a clown car.
It's three branches of a Ringling Brothers. Three-ring circus. You've got a three-ring American government system, complete clown car.